But first, I welcome Reform UK's chairman, former leader, Richard Tice. Look, Richard's time as leader of the Reform Party came to an abrupt end today. He announced that he would stand aside for Nigel Farage to take the helm.
Really like is to invite Nigel to be leader of Reform UK. Absolute delight, he accepted.
And Mr Farage wasted no time in laying out his political plans.
So the really big message here is, what I'm really calling for, and what I intend to lead, is a political revolt. Yes, a revolt. A turning of our backs on the political status quo. It doesn't work.
Earlier in the day, Rishi Sunak said a vote for Farage was nothing more than a vote to put Keir Starmer in number 10.
At the end of the day, on July 5th, one of two people will be Prime Minister, either Keir Starmer or me. A vote for anyone who's not a Conservative candidate is just a vote to put Keir Starmer in number 10. So if you're someone who cares about tackling migration, both the boats and legal migration, if you're someone who wants a more proportionate, pragmatic approach to net zero that saves people money, and if you're someone who wants lower taxes, it's only the Conservatives that are going to...
Former leader Richard Tice joins me now. Richard, when did Nigel let you know he wanted to be leader?
We've been talking about it for ages and saying, you know, what's the right thing to do? I've always said to everybody, the more help he can give, the better. And here's the thing, it's not about the titles, it's about the effort, the oomph, and already you're seeing that. And as Nigel said, that word revolt. I mean, so many people have said, I can't vote for these two parties. What am I going to do? Am I going to stay at home? And what was remarkable was campaigning last week. We were in a couple of constituencies and just the extra enthusiasm. And what actually we realised was that many, many people were saying, come on, Nigel. And so he realised that actually this was the moment. And the biggest risk in life is never taking one. So, yeah, as he's quite rightly said, it's hard trying to do both. Rapidly stand for a seat and campaign nationally. But equally, the state of the country, it needs serious change, It needs reform, and that's why I said, actually, we've got to do this.
Look, you said it's a risk. I mean, it is a big gamble, OK? So the latest polling that we had here on GB News anyway put you guys at 12%, the Lib Dems at 10%, you with no seats and the Lib Dems at 39%.
How mad's that?
It is mad, right? But that is the state of play. And I believe the Tory majority in Clacton is 24,700, OK? So if this comes to nothing, if on July the 4th you've not got any seats, that you have to be prepared for that possibility, right?
Yeah, we're prepared for anything, as we've said today, as we've always said. But here's the thing. I guarantee you, we will get millions and millions and millions of votes. And Nigel talks about revolt. I tell you what, there'll be a lot of people who are very, very unhappy with our political class, our political system, if we ended up with 0 seats. I think we will win seats. I think that actually we're going from strength to strength. And Nigel, I'm absolutely convinced, will win in Clacton. The Tories are utterly terrified, and rightly so. But we'll also take huge numbers of votes from socially conservative Labour voters who do not want mass immigration, making people poorer, reducing wages, and reducing the quality of life, in making housing unaffordable for young people, and increasing the pressure on healthcare. And people say, actually, yeah, there's a real genuine choice out there.
There are quotes doing the rounds on social media, which I'm sure you've probably seen, of Nigel in the past saying, does he really want to spend every Friday in Clacton? You know, I mean, there's a whiff there, isn't there, of the Ian Dales about that with Tunbridge Wells. You know, I mean, do you think that'll play badly?
No, I don't actually. But what it shows is that Nigel's been completely honest in grappling with that big decision. Did he want to stand? Did he want to really get stuck in? And did he want to do it for a serious period of time in order to help change the nature of politics? And he, that's why it took he took a time to get there. But we're there. We're off, and I tell you what, we're rocking. Thousands of people have already joined since that announcement.
Look, I obviously watched that announcement. I watched the questions that followed. Look, one thing that did stand out to me was how he was saying he wanted to be the real opposition in the wake of what he said was probably almost definitely going to be a Keir Starmer Labour government. I did just wonder, though, are you playing roulette with Britain here? 5 years of Labour, the Lib Dems now, quite possibly, as a result of Nigel and what you're doing, could end up actually being the party of opposition. as opposed to the Tories. 5 years of that, and then a hope that in 5 years' time you sweep the board. I mean, that's a lot of stuff on the never there for the people.
5 years ago, people assumed that Boris was in for 10 to 15 years, but actually things changed very quickly. And frankly, the country is in a terrible state, and Labour have got no plans how to get the economy growing, how to reform the health system. They've got no intention of controlling lawful immigration, no ideas about how to stop the boats. We're the only party with serious plans to do that, and I think people will realise very quickly that actually we need to vote for change. And I think that at the end of the day, there's no difference between the two main parties. If we didn't exist, as Nigel quite rightly said today, Labour would still win this election. The Tory brand is toxic. How toxic? We will find out. But actually, democracy is much better served when there's more debate, more choice, and that's what we give the British people. And I think that based on what we're seeing already, people are saying, yeah, and word has been spreading. Tell you what there is. There's a lot of shy reformers out there. Shh, don't tell anyone. I'm with reform. It's just like old Brexiteers. Lots of shy Brexiteers. That's what's happening. And this is going to be, I think it's going to be like a bow.
I do wonder how chaotic it is behind the scenes at Reform, though, because we did speak to someone we spoke to Ben Habib earlier. He didn't have any idea that this was happening. I mean, this is a bit chaotic, isn't it?
Far from it. It actually shows just what a well-run ship we are, that if you want to keep a secret, don't tell anyone. It's pretty obvious.
Even someone like Ben Habib, who's, what's his role? Deputy chairman, is he?
Deputy leader.
Deputy leader, yeah.
You've got to think, these things, in the world of media and politics, it's very hard to keep a secret. So the answer is, don't tell anyone. Keep it very quiet, work it out, and that's what we did. And actually, I think people quite respect that. They respect the honesty that we've come out with it. We've told it as it is, and I tell you what, if you want change, you've got to vote for it.
Can I ask, when you were saying, you mentioned several times in your speech up to Nigel there, you're saying we're going up in the polls, we're going up in the polls, we're going up in the polls. That's not actually true, is it? You are quite stagnant in the polls. You fluctuate between about 9 and 50. When we had the by-elections, you were on about 15%. The latest polls put you on about 12%.
No, the latest poll, YouGov poll on Friday, put us back at 15.
Okay.
So we'd gone up, we'd drifted down a bit, and now we've gone back up. So actually, it is true. In the last week, we wanted to make sure we held in the polls. In almost all the polls that I've seen, we've actually gone up 1, 2 or 3. So we're going up in the polls. This will be another boost, and that'll come off the Tories.
Very, very lastly, come on, try to. I know it's difficult. Try to put a number. What level you are? Because of our political system, as we've spoken about, you have to be willing to accept that you might not win that many seats, right? Fine. But what number of votes what would be a good night for votes on July the 4th?
Oh, we're very ambitious. We want millions of votes. We want more votes cast for Reform UK than the Tories, and it is well achievable.
Well, what does that look like?
That looks like 6, 7 million votes, maybe 8 million votes. Who knows?
Right.
But something is happening out there. I tell you, something is happening. It's extraordinary. As Nigel said, it's a bit like a people's revolt.
Right, OK. Well, that was former leader Richard Tice. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Now, as you've just been hearing, Nigel, obviously, is standing in Clacton. OK, here is a full list of those who have declared their candidacy so far. We have Jovan Owusu-Nepal, who's the Labour Party, Giles Watling, Conservatives, Matthew Bensilem, Liberal Democrats, Nigel Farage, Reform UK, Natasha Osborne, Green Party. That list has not been finalised. The deadline is later this week. It will be published on GB News' website, and we have invited all of those people on for an interview. Right.